Have you ever paused to ponder why economic growth is such a hot topic among nations around the globe? What if, instead of focusing on growth, we just maintained our current economic status? Would that be so terrible? Well, the answer is not as straightforward as it may seem. To delve into this complex subject, we need to understand what economic growth actually means. It's the increase in a country's economic output. It's when a nation produces more goods and services compared to previous years. And it's not just about numbers and percentages. It's about improving people's lives. Output. Consider for a moment the case of South Korea. In the 1950s, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world. Fast forward to today, and it's a global powerhouse in technology and manufacturing. This transformation didn't happen overnight, but it was driven by consistent economic growth over the years. South Korea invested heavily in education, infrastructure, and technology. It developed industries that could compete on a global scale. As the economy grew, people's living standards improved dramatically. They moved from poverty to prosperity, from surviving to thriving. But economic growth doesn't just benefit individuals. It also plays a critical role in the health of a nation. A growing economy generates more tax revenue, which can be invested back into the country, into schools, hospitals, roads, and other public services. It provides the fuel for a country to advance and improve. However, it's important to remember that economic growth isn't without its challenges. It needs to be sustainable and inclusive. It needs to benefit everyone, not just a select few, and it needs to be balanced with environmental considerations. So to answer the initial question, maintaining the status quo isn't enough. Without economic growth, countries can't improve living standards, can't invest in public services, and can't compete on a global scale. In the case of South Korea, we saw how economic growth transformed a country from one of the poorest to one of the richest. It showed us that economic growth isn't just about numbers, it's about people. It's about providing opportunities for people to improve their lives. To summarize, economic growth is the engine that drives improvement in people's lives and the health of a nation. It's about producing more goods and services, generating more tax revenue, and investing in the future. But it needs to be sustainable, inclusive, and balanced with environmental considerations. So the next time you hear about economic growth in the news, remember the case of South Korea. Remember the opportunities it provides for people to improve their lives, and remember the importance of sustainable and inclusive growth. Economic growth isn't just a concept discussed in boardrooms and economic forums. It affects all of us every day in every part of our lives, and that's why it's so important.